Hey everybody, this is Mr. Storm. This week we're going to work on building a template for our website. So in order to do that, we need to consider how are most things organized in a web page, right? Are we putting them inside of divs? Are we putting them inside of a grid system? Are we going to use containers because we're using W3 schools? Yes, to all of these. So let's talk about how containers, display, and grid works in W3.css. So this is an example of a container, right? There's a header, there's an article, and a footer. The container class adds a 16 pixel left and right padding to any HTML element. The container class can be applied to any element in which you can use or in which you can store other objects, right? But you can also apply a container class to really anything, a paragraph element if you really want to, right? So a W3 container provides equality, that's the word, for all HTML container elements. So common margins, paddings, alignments, fonts, colors. It helps you to keep your web page looking consistent all the way throughout. So for example, this is content without a container. Notice that it's shoved right up against the edge here. This is content inside of a container, which makes it a lot easier to read. That's what you're looking for, okay? Now, to style a header as a content, or as a container, we can use the container class and then give it a background color. That's an easy header to create. So with your template that you're going to work on, you're going to want to have a header. This is a way to maybe style your header. So for example, that's what it looks like. Easy stuff. For footers, you can do the same. You can just do the same thing with a footer. It's pretty easy, right? Articles and sections, however, you may need to use the grid system to make it look good. But you can use the W3 container class for articles and sections. So you can have a div, article, or section. Now div elements are most widely used. Some web pages don't use articles or sections, but they really essentially are the same thing. Okay? Perfect. So here's an example of a web page using this idea. So you have a header up here, you have this big picture in the middle, you have a little bit of information down here in another div, and you have a footer. Okay? So that's a very quick way to throw a website together. Now, let's see. We talked about the 16 pixel padding. You can add, let's see. Yeah, no, that's fine. All right, that's all good stuff. So containers are pretty easy to use. It's just create a div, apply the container class to it, and you're good to go. Let's talk about how to display elements properly. So you can change where the content shows up within a container or within a div or an item by using the display classes. So you have display class or display container, display top left, top right, bottom left, hover, left, right, all that stuff. So let's take a look at an example. So all these different divs, which have the display container class applied to them, or have some kind of display class applied to them, will put themselves where they're supposed to go. So this div that covers all of them has a green background, and it's set up as a display container. And then all these divs inside are using positional display classes to move them where they're supposed to go. Okay? So that's what it would look like on an image with an image as a background. Now, the display hover class will show different content if your mouse is hovering over that object. So notice my mouse is coming in and new content is popping up, right? And that's set by a display hover. So you can use display hover to do animations or instantly pop in data. So with this, this container right here, I hover over, it instantly mutes the colors in the background and then creates a button there. Okay. Over here, notice that those fade in just a little bit, right? That's using some JavaScript to create an animation whenever I hover over that picture. All right. Let's see. So this is a flag created using some display containers. That's kind of cool. You can float. You can use floating classes to float your content. So W3 left, W3 right, those will float content to either right or left. That's pretty easy. You can hide content and show content. And you can use a W3 mobile, which will it will add a mobile first responsiveness to any element. Basically meaning if you have mobile applied, then it will automatically organize itself properly whenever the screen width gets to be too small. So notice how all those links, they bunched up together and created a vertical menu whenever the screen got less than 600 pixels wide. And then whenever I open it more, then those links break out and they look more like they should on a desktop computer. And that's just by using this W3 mobile class. Beautiful. Now let's talk about the grid. The grid is something that we used in Bootstrap. Now, this is a more fluid grid than in Bootstrap. It's a 12 column grid. And basically what you can do is just indicate that I want to create a W3, I want to access the W3 columns class, M4 and 13. So what this means is, let me show you. So this example right here, M1, W3 center, W3 gray, this is creating this content right here. So medium 1 is what M1 stands for. And we're centering some information in the middle of this container. Now, the interesting part is, because we've set up some mobile, or because the grid class in W3 Schools is mobile first, then this yellow part right here, because it's set up as a container and M4 with a 13 designation on it, what this will do is M4 for a medium screen, meaning it'll show on 4 columns on a medium screen, 3 on a large screen. So that's actually L3, not 13. I don't know why I said 13. So it's medium 4, large 3. So on a large screen, it'll take up 3 columns. On a medium screen, it'll take up, let me show you medium screen. On a medium screen, it'll take up 4. So let's shrink. And then on a really small screen, it'll take a bunch. It'll take up all 12. So 4. So here we go. There's 3 columns, 4 columns, all 12. Okay. So that's how that works. All right. All right. Perfect. Yep. So the grid itself is responsive, and the grid will respond automatically to the screen size that you're looking at. So use small, medium, and large to designate how many columns you want that item to take up on small, medium, and large screens. So there are a bunch of examples here. Now this is what you're going to use for the center content in your template, right? So you can have you can have 3 unequal columns. You have one that's 50%, and then one that's 25% on either side, kind of traditional website. You can have 3 equal columns. You can have, one big column with a little column over here. It's completely up to you. Okay, that's about it. I'm going to let you just kind of explore the rest of this content on your own, and start thinking about how you want to structure your template. Perfect. All right, I'm gonna go, and I will see you next time.